I can say is people are awesome. Don't you agree? People are absolutely stinking awesome. Listen, at the end of 2018, I read this book called Can't Hurt Me by a guy named David Goggins. And Mr. David Goggins tells a story in this book, which, by the way, disclosure, before you go out and download the book or read it, it's graphic, okay? Let's just say the guy's military, the guy grew up hard, and he speaks, there's a lot of vulgar language, but the book itself, the context of the book is incredible. So at the end of 2018, I read this book called Can't Hurt Me by Mr. David Goggins, and this is a gentleman who made a declaration at one point. He looked down at himself. He didn't like what he looked like. He didn't like how he felt about himself. What's up, Robbie Toomey? Great to see you. Bruce McDonald, great to see you as well. He didn't like what he saw in the mirror. He didn't like who he was. So he made a declaration to change his life. And ultimately, he lost a bunch of weight. And then he became a Navy SEAL. As a matter of fact, one of the only Navy SEALs in the history of the world to go through Navy SEAL training 3 times. Some of the most difficult, like boot camp style training ever. He went through it 3 times in 1 year. There was a series of situations. It was very unique. And so David Goggins went through the Navy SEAL training and became a Navy SEAL once he made this declaration to change his life. Now, once he left the military, after he did his military duty, after that he came out and he started to get into the world of ultra marathon running. Okay, so these ultra marathoners, what these spectacular human beings do is they'll run literally like hundreds of miles. They'll run hundreds of miles over all types of different terrain. They'll go, I mean, you got to like pee on the trail and use other waste products on the trail, and you got to make sure your nutrition is there, and they literally push their bodies to the farthest limits that you can possibly push a human being. And so he went from being from changing his life from this to becoming a Navy SEAL, to ultimately becoming an ultra marathoner. And through the entire process, he was able to turn the tragedy that was his childhood into triumph. And when I say triumph, this gentleman, David Goggins, when he released this book, Can't Hurt Me, he was also running right next to Michelle Obama. She had just released her book at the exact same time, and there were multiple days where his book was #1 on the New York Times bestseller list above Michelle Obama, the First Lady of the United States of America. Wow. Powerful. But in the book, Mr. David Goggins says that we all have 40% more in the tank. That our bodies have this defense mechanism where it wants to protect us from hurting ourselves. And so it will literally shut us down or convince us that we need to stop 40% before we actually do. You know the deal. Like when you see a sign getting ready to go over a bridge, the sign says maximum weight is, 10 tons, 14 tons, whatever the maximum weight is. The weights that they post on there are not quite the maximum weight, or at least we hope. Because sometimes people like us will make mistakes. So they actually build it to be able to structurally handle more than what the sign says. However, they post that at a reduced amount, let's say 40% less. Or you've seen it when you step into an elevator. The elevator has a 9-person max, or it shows how many pounds or kilograms that you can hold. In this particular case, it says 1 horse, 5,050 bananas, 6,666 hen eggs, 2,941 pigeons, 88 haddocks, or 10,526 pound coins. But when you see that in the elevator, if you're anything like me, I know you look around a little bit, you're like, all right, it looks like, we we good. We might be a little close, might be a little bit over, but hopefully we good. Hopefully they built in a little bit of a buffer just in case you maybe go over that maximum weight posted. Well, your body is the same way. Your body will start to shut you down when you still have 40% more in the tank. It'll start giving you early warning signs. Your labored breathing is an early warning sign. You starting to tense up or your muscles starting to fatigue. Those are early warning signs. And so David Goggins speaks about how we have the ability to break through and tap into that extra 40%. And when we do, that's when we accomplish some amazing additional things physically that we didn't know that we had. So after reading David Goggins' book, I challenged myself to do one thing that I hated, which was I absolutely hated to drink water. I always wanted a Powerade or a Gatorade or a chocolate milk or maybe even a vodka and orange juice, depending on the time of the day. I was a big fan of beer and a big fan of all types of other things. As long as it had flavor, I would drink it. The one thing I did not want in my life was water. I couldn't stand it. But after reading David Goggins' book, I thought, well, let's challenge myself. Let's see if I can develop a mental callus to where I can break through. Not only will I drink water, but I'll drink nothing but water for 365 days. Fast forward to last week, I was able to accomplish that. I didn't know that I had that in me. I didn't know I was capable of all of that. But once I was able to tap into that additional 40%, it made a massive difference in my life. You see, we, and by we I do mean you, you specifically, but we are capable as human beings of so much more. We are capable of so much more. Our bodies are amazing. They will work on results whether you do or not. You see, my family, I'm actually allergic to cats. And when we got our new house, it came with two cats, Picky and Racungo. And Picky and Racungo were outdoor cats that were always running around chasing the mice, keeping the mice and the moles and all the other vermin out of the house out there. We own 10 acres of land, so there's plenty for them to do outside. And they were outdoor only cats, not allowed to come in the house. Well, a couple of weeks ago, regretfully, Willow came to me and pointed out that Racungo was in the garage and wasn't moving. You see, Willow, our 5-year-old, she makes sure to lock up the house for us every night. She makes sure all the doors are closed and locked and the alarm is set. And as she went around, Racungo wasn't moving. And so we went and looked, and sure enough, poor Racungo had come into the garage there. Of all the places that Racungo could have passed away, Racungo decided to come in the garage and pass away under a chair. Well, after seeing Racungo die, my heart softened just a little bit, and I decided that we would let Picky come in the basement at night. Picky's allowed to come in the basement at night. It's getting cold out there. I didn't want to have another dead cat in the driveway. So my heart softened, even though I'm a little bit allergic to cats. Well, in no time, really in no time, maybe it's been a month or however long it's been, this cat has put on a ridiculous amount of weight. The cat has gotten rather fat. It's become a fat cat. Now, my wife thought that maybe the cat was pregnant, and who knows, maybe she'll prove me to be wrong. But I think what happened is this outdoor cat that was used to running around, full-on activity, chasing down its meals every single night, is now hanging out in my basement with nothing to chase, sleeping half the day, and getting fat. That's what I think happened. That's my belief. You see, your body is going to create a result whether you work at it or not. The question is it going to be a result that you're happy with or one that you're not? You see, my friend Jim Rohn, he's a famous author and speaker. You've probably heard his name. He's an incredible human being. If you've never listened to Jim Rohn, you need to look him up. But Jim Rohn says this quote here. He says, "Take care of your body. It is the only place you have to live." You see, right now in America, the statistics show that in 2015-16, a little bit older, 39.8% of adults aged 20 and over were obese, including 7.6 with severe obesity, and that another 31.8% were overweight. Obesity rates have increased for all population groups in the United States over the last several decades. Now, this is not a good thing, my friends. Don't get me wrong. We all come in all different shapes and sizes. There's a different level of health for everyone. I totally get that. There's genetics involved, so on and so forth. 100% get that. But we have to go out and do something to create the result that gives us the best health. You see, there's a woman, her name's, oh my gosh, I just blanked on her name. Did I write it down? You can look her up. She's the oldest woman in the world. The oldest woman in the world. She had a birthday yesterday. She turned 117 years old. 117 years old as of yesterday. When they talked to her, she attributed the majority of her health to her diet. She said that she would eat until she was 80% full. She made sure to eat things that were high in iron. She exercised and had an incredible health routine. And what I also love is she pointed out that she gets up at 6 a.m. every single day and has most of her life. She has an incredible morning routine that includes taking care of herself physically. You see, your body, your life, it's like this three-legged table right here. You've got one leg is the mind, one leg is the body, and one leg is the spirit. And see, the goal as you try to ascend in this new year to become the new you, the goal is that you're going to have to rise on all three levels. If you rise spiritually and you arise mindfully, but you don't take care of the physical, you don't put yourself in a position where you're pushing yourself a little bit more to increase your health. If you don't take care of that, your table will fall over. Your table will be lopsided. You'll grow on one side and fall down on the other. And so I want to challenge you to take these things seriously. There are 5 simple steps to an extraordinary life. We talk about it in my book, The Morning 5. And I want you to take these things seriously as we go into 2020. Listen, my friend, you have so much greatness in you. There is so much more. This morning when we yelled it out, you felt it. I know you did. You have so much more. There's 40% more in the tank. But one of the anchors that may be holding you back is you're not taking care of yourself physically. You might be there mentally, you might be there spiritually. You must take the time to raise that level as well. When you do, you will extract the highest level of greatness out of you. And you see, I know that greatness exists because you, my friend, are a child of God, the God of the universe, the God who made everything, made you to be the absolute best version of yourself that you can possibly be. Not an average version, not above average, below average, but the absolute best. And that's going to take you making the decisions. Your decisions matter. They make an impact on your friends, your family members, your coworkers. You need to make the decision to rise and ascend on all three levels, because guess what? You are the greatest.